Welcome to the first episode of Quantum Box. Today we're going to be talking about one of our favorite things, D&D. We are both currently in a campaign with each other, and we play with a friend from school, and then another friend from school is the DM, and we're going to be talking about each session so far. I have been the quote-unquote official note-taker of the sessions, and we wanted to talk about them with you and discuss what the heck happened in these sessions, because this campaign is truly just a garbage fire.
There can be a lot of chaos that goes on, so it should be a fun topic to cover.
It is, honestly. It starts out pretty normal and it goes downhill real quick. So we're excited to share with you our characters, what we're thinking in these sessions, and eventually we're hoping to record the sessions for you guys once we are caught up to the present moment. So without further ado, we should probably introduce our characters, right?
Sure, you can go ahead if you like.
Alright, so my character her name's Thamelin, and she is a halfling orc. No. She is a halfling rogue, and her quote, if you will, is "here for the chaos," and she lives up to it because she's just a gremlin. She's a madman, and she has a pet rat she found in a dungeon named Blueberry. She's not all that interesting, other than the fact that she loves blueberries. She loves her pet rat Blueberry, and she likes to... What does she like to do?
Incite chaos.
Incite chaos. There you have it.
Alright. My character's name is Yorberin. He is a wood elf druid. I am definitely the OP character of the group, I would say.
That's an understatement.
There's been a lot of times where everyone else has been just dying completely, and then I go in and one-shot the thing and save everybody. So that's always really fun. I am
aggravating.
Yeah. My alignment is actually chaotic evil, even though I'm a wood elf druid, which is not, standard, but it's really fun to play like that. I basically don't have to worry about, murdering someone anymore, so yay!
You would not believe the amount of times he's tried to kill Thamelin.
And a couple other people in our team. So I've tried to kill a lot of people.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this before, but Thamelin is actually chaotic good, so Thamelin and Yorberin as a team is just
pure
utter chaos. It's just such a mess whenever We've been playing in a dungeon recently, and almost every time there's a doorway, we're arguing about who's going to go through it first.
Because, a couple times we've opened a doorway and then immediately gotten attacked by a mimic, or the door ends up being a mimic, or there ends up being something that spawns a mimic. We fought a ton of mimics recently for some reason.
Yeah.
So we always... Because I have a higher strength, I can usually pretty easily push Thamelin into the door so she opens it.
It's so aggravating.
All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with going over our notes.
We forgot our most forgettable character, Boris.
That's true.
So really quickly, we couldn't bring the person who plays Boris in today, but Boris is a fighter elf. Am I right?
Yes, he used to be a wizard elf. It changed. Later on we'll explain how that happened. Basically.
Oh man, what a day that was.
Yeah, but he dies a lot. We use Discord for our calls for our D&D sessions, and we re-nicknamed him like Boris the elf that dies a lot. I think because it's so accurate. So I've saved him probably at least 10 times with a ton of healing potions from death.
Boris is very prone to nat ones, and he's he's still surprisingly so optimistic for being probably the most, I guess, what's the word? Like, stupid?
Accident prone?
Accident prone. Yeah.
Okay. So Thamlin actually wasn't in our sessions for the first 2 or 3 um round, or for the first 2 or 3 sessions Thamlin wasn't in. Um so I'll kind of we didn't take notes from that, so I'll go ahead and kind of go over that a little bit from memory, so it won't be perfect, but we didn't think to
Best
take
of
notes
luck
before. So, but
until the
basically,
smart one joined.
um, actually, Thamlin, really quickly, were you here when we did the bar thing?
The bar thing where you intimidated Greg?
Yes, okay. So anyways, we started on we were in this fort that we started at, and so we were kind of just walking around and bumped into each other and we're like, "Oh, hey." And the only reason that happened is because there were a bunch of people that were like, "Hey, there's this thing on this other island that you need to go fight." And so we went to try and fight it. And that's the first 2 sessions were pretty short, so there wasn't a ton that happened during those. So we were trying to fight it, and Boris, goes and dies for the first time, and I went and saved him. But we were fighting a sea hag, and there was like this weird staircase that we had to go down to get to it, and there were a bunch of piranhas. Or at the very bottom of the staircase, it was completely flooded, and there was piranhas in there. So I used speak with animals and talked to them, and they were like, really creepy. So we kind of just left and waited till night for the sea hag to come out. And then it did. So we were fighting it, and as fights go, we were kind of winning, but also kind of not. Until we got it to like the bottom of a cliff or something. And then this random halfling rogue comes flying off of the cliff and bounces onto its head, killing it.
Yeah, that's basically how Thamlin joined the party. From Thamlin's perspective, she kind of tends to this blueberry field at the top of this cliff by this ocean. It's really pretty until one day she wakes up to hear like fighting noises, and she kind of peeks over the edge of the cliff and sees 2 elves like duking it out with the sea hag, and one of the elves is like on the ground just like dying. and she kind of just like grabs up her stuff and like throws herself off of the cliff. And she kind of introduces herself like, "Hey, I'm Thamlin. What's up, you guys?"
And then after that, we were like, "Do you want to come with?" And so she said, "Okay." So
yeah, I think it's actually you guys were like off to like go see somebody, and then I was like, nah, that's stupid. I got a better person that you can find. And then that's how we kind of branched into the next session of the campaign, I guess.
it was something, yeah. I don't remember exactly who we were going to see, but it wasn't really important. So
Actually, we have the notes right there. I copied them down from the first session. So once Thamlin kind of bounces on top of the sea hag's head, and the hag kind of just like falls over, she goes, "You can beat me, but you can't beat my master." And then
which is really creepy, just saying.
Extremely creepy. And of course Yorburn and Boris are like, "Oh my god,"
like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah, they're like, "That's concerning. Anyways, who's this little halfling person who just wrecked our fight?"
Right.
And then that's when Thamlin goes, "I think I know somebody who can tell you about the sea hag's quote-unquote master."
So then that was the friend that she was referring to. I don't remember his name. He lived,
Child.
oh yeah, the name that I couldn't, speak. Anyways, he lived in a swamp sort of near the city. So we went back to the city from where we came and went into the bar. And because we had the original reason that we had actually went to the island, I forgot to mention, we were being paid a bounty. And so this magic guy was like, hey, what do you want for your thing? So I went ahead and asked for like a flask kind of that gives me infinite acid vials. I can make a maximum of 5 per day, but I can just like start pouring acid everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you remember what Boris got?
I think
Oh, right. He got like
a
45
cookbook, right?
pounds of onions or garlic or something.
Garlic, yeah. The thing we forgot to mention. So while Familin has her blueberry obsession, Boris is really into garlic, and he got like 45 tons of garlic from this.
It was some ridiculous amount.
And he got like a cookbook with like every recipe imaginable, and he kind of just like didn't he like kind of vanish to like put his garlic in some like in that fort or whatever?
There's random times where he kind of just vaporizes into a cloud and appears back in his tower. So he did that for a little while and like read a ton of the book and put all his garlic away. So
mm-hmm. And so Boris got that, and then Familin, she realized that if she's going to be going on this adventure with these two strangers, she's not going to be able to tend for her blueberries, and without blueberries, there's no point in living. So she asked for a magical blueberry plant that kind of grants her with infinite blueberries, and then she also gets a recipe scroll and a slingshot.
I think she ended up buying the slingshot instead of getting it from the guy.
Oh, right, because the guy was like, you're asking way too much of me, man. Like,
technically, we were all only supposed to get one thing from her, or from the guy. But I think the guy kind of just took pity on us for some reason and gave us.
No, I think you intimidated him. I think.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know, like
I got. For some reason, at the very beginning of our campaign, I was doing really, really well on intimidation rolls. So the bar that we were in before we had went on the adventure, I went in and rolled a nat 20 on intimidation for the barkeeper, and so he gave us all free stuff. And then I went ahead and intimidated the guy that was giving us magic stuff, so he gave us more stuff. And then after we did that, we went to get more drinks, and I intimidated the barkeeper again with another nat 20, and then he started paying us money from his bar because of how scared he was.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know about that.
You didn't?
Wow. No, I think I was gone for that session or something.
Oh. Yeah, he gives us money from his bar.
Oh my gosh. So once they finish with, intimidating this barkeeper and, restocking and whatnot, they kind of leave the bar, and Familin kind of leads them into a forest, which is where Familin's very first session ends, and I guess the main campaign starts, if you will.
Sort of, yeah. So then after that, for the next session, we kind of continue in the same spot. Familin leaves for a little while to go back to her field to take care of some stuff. Boris and Yorberin obviously just don't care about waiting and continue to go further into the forest. And then they eventually find the swampy house area that Familin was talking about. Or no, sorry. This was before they got to the swamp house. We were sort of just in a random swampy area, not housey area, just a normal swamp. And so we step on a branch. I think like Boris ended up stepping on a branch, and a shambling mound just comes out and was like, "Hey, what's up?"
Hey, that was my favorite branch, you guys.
Yeah, so I obviously, I kind of just hid because I don't know.
That's all you're good at. You're great at hiding and letting everybody else.
I'm really good at hiding. Boris kind of just got immediately slaughtered by it again. So I think Familin ended up saving us. She just happened to come along and was like, "Oh, I should do something."
Yeah, I remember because I went back to the blueberry field. So that was going back to the blueberry field was kind of my excuse for not being present during that session. So that session where they first come across the mound, it was fairly short because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so the next session it kind of begins in the middle of that fight.
So at the very beginning, I wasn't there at the beginning of the session, so I was basically just hiding that entire time until I got back.
And then when all hell broke loose, you were kind of just like looking at like all the flaming trees and like Boris on the ground bleeding out, and you're like, oh yeah, I should probably deal with this, huh?
And then this is also, might I mention, one of the spots where I just one-shot everything right after I appear.
Yeah.
So, Thamelin, you can go ahead and take away the part explaining everything until I got here.
All right. So the fight, it went good, and then it went bad, and then it went good again, and then Yorbrin showed up. So I basically, let's see, I got down to 1 HP, and then I ate some of my blueberries. I forgot that my blueberries restored HP. I could have been eating blueberries this entire time. Oh my god.
Oh no.
Wow, I've been like asking you for health potions and like nearly dying like for the past 5 sessions, and I just had blueberries on me that could have healed me. Oh my god.
I'm not sure if it's a consistent amount. Our DM might not let you do that every single time, because even though it is a magic item, if it provides, that's like me getting infinite healing potions sort of, so I'm not sure if he'll let you do that every time, but you should try that.
To be fair, in this session, I did eat the magic blueberries when I was at 1 hit point, so let's see. I'm reading up these notes, and Thamelin is just getting absolutely like destroyed by the shambling mound. She's like trying to stab it and trying to do like all these roguey like cool like trick stabs and stuff, and this mound is just like having none of it and slapping her around. And then all while Thamelin is like on the brink of death the entire time, Boris is like just like standing like 20 feet away trying to shoot the mound every now and then and missing every single time. And
so I remember when I came in, everything was on fire for some reason.
yeah.
Why?
Let me see. I think that was Boris trying to be cool and using one of his new spells.
Oh right, he had like he
missing.
didn't have fireball. He had, I think it was like firebolt or something that he tries to use and doesn't work a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, and this was the session that I got quite possibly one of my favorite items, which is a slightly glowing sword.
The slightly glowing part is very important.
Slightly, if you don't refer to this sword as slightly glowing, you can get out, okay? Because this sword slightly glows. It has advantage against large creatures, and it is the best thing I have ever owned, okay?
Yeah, it's like, I think it's advantage against large creatures. It has a +6 damage modifier to large creatures, and then a +3 to hit. It's great.
It's my favorite thing ever. And so,
I mean, there's definitely a lot better, but we are still only level 3, so this is the best we're gonna get for now. I think this was still when we were like level 1 or something too, so
I think that we were level 2, well, level 1 at this session, and then we leveled up at the end of the Shambling Mound session, we leveled up, and then we've gone through so much, and we still haven't leveled up for some reason. And
yeah, the first few times it was like after every session we would level up, which we thought was like, cool, all this new stuff. And now it's been like 15 sessions and we just haven't.
And we're like just like dragging our feet like, I wanna die.
Yeah.
So I get this slightly glowing sword and I start doing damage. And then Boris is like, oh hey, I have fire. Let me flame it up, man. And he misses. And eventually the fire spreads to a bunch of trees, and Thamelin is like tap dancing with the shambling mound, trying not to light herself on fire and also trying to kill this mound. And Boris is just shooting flames everywhere, and and Yorbrin is like 50 feet away. And and so the fire becomes sentient, and it's now a fire elemental.
Which it just seemed to happen by chance. There wasn't anything possessing it. It was just randomly the DM was like, hey, want a fire elemental? No? Too bad.
Yeah, honestly. So basically the fire becomes sentient, and then Yorbrin like he kind of walks out from behind this tree and sees this wall of flames and like this circle of flames encasing everyone, like Boris and Thamelin and the Mound. Like the Mound is like fighting the fire because the fire was mad at Thamelin because Thamelin shot the fire instead of the Mound, and then Boris is still just like he's like holding his palms out like, oh, there's like columns of flame shooting out of my palms. I'm just gonna keep doing this. And then so while Yorbrin is just like watching, he's just kind of like,
what's going on here?
Standard Tuesday stuff, you know. So this is where Yorbrin comes in, and you wanna let them know what you did this time for this?
So basically, I kind of just I'm now like awake or something, and I see the fire elemental start like going towards Thamelin. So I just chuck a health potion over the wall of fire and do a bunch of heals. So then the Mound attacks the fire elemental and does a bunch of damage. But then I think the fire elemental ended up killing the Mound. And then so after seeing this, I had create or destroy water, and the DM let it be our DM let me use it kind of OP like, because there was normally a bit of a limitation on it, but he kind of didn't have that work this time. So I summoned 261 gallons of water over the fire elemental and did like 270 damage.
Correction, 262 gallons of water.
Oh, 262 gallons of water and did a ton of damage. Thamelin jumps into a tree to avoid being like washed away. And then I think I got knocked prone, and Boris probably got knocked prone. But the fire elemental is just gone.
Oh, and the Mound isn't actually dead yet.
Yeah, I just saw that in the notes.
Yeah, Thamelin like jumps up because she's a quick reminder. Thamelin's 3 feet tall, so she isn't exactly. She's very easily movable, I guess. And so when there's 662 gallons just appearing in the sky, there's kind of she's screwed.
So after she's in the tree, she kind of launches herself at the Mound and does a little bit of damage. The Mound just hits her, and she flies off and is knocked out on the ground now. So then I just go out and one-shot the Mound again.
And it's just like freaking. Where were you that whole time, huh?
Yeah.
Rude. But I guess the DM didn't think that I had enough magical weapons or something, because I got 2 new magical weapons: a flaming flail from the fire elemental, which is one of my favorite items that I have, and then the Ring of the Ranger, which was dropped by the Mound. I haven't actually used that yet, but it's pretty cool.
It like lets you enter like a rage state or something, and then you get boosted melee attacks. It's pretty interesting.
Flaming flail is just freaking awesome. It's so cool.
It does a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It like launches fireballs which do damage on each turn and is magic.
And then it's like, yeah, it's like one of my favorite. But I my heart still goes out to the slightly glowing sword.
Yeah. So then after the entire battle is over, I go over and kind of like heal Thamelin some more and get her conscious again. And then after that, we all level up, and that was the end of that session. So that was our first like big attack. We did do the Sea Hag before. It wasn't super hard. Those two I think were probably a lot harder for them. I wasn't really sure because I just one shot them, but it sounds like they had a hard time.
Yeah, well, with like the Sea Hag, you guys basically did all the work for me, and I kind of pulled a Yorbrin and was like, "Hey, you called," you know?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to the first episode of Quantum Box. We are having an amazing time so far, and I'm here to show you our first ever mid-roll ad. So, I present to me. Again, thank you so much for listening to the first episode of Quantum Box. We're so excited to see what we have in store. We're having an amazing time so far. So, if you like what you're hearing, please stick around. I'll let you get back to the podcast now. But then we've got the next session where we finally meet Thamelin's kind of friend who knows about the Sea Hag's master.
So then there was a quick side note that I was talking to Thamelin, and I was like, "Hey Thamelin, if we ever fight a purple worm or a wyvern, remind me to get their essences or whatever." Because if you don't know, purple worm and wyvern poison are so powerful, and poisoning people is fun. So
it's like Yorburn's like New Year's resolution to collect all the poisons in the world and poison Thamelin or something.
Something like that. So then after that, the whole thing, we continue over to the swampy, housey area, this time the actual house area. And we meet this guy, like Dasso, I think his name was.
Dasso Shile.
Yeah, so we were talking with him about stuff, and he was like, "You should just abandon what you're doing right now, and you should go assassinate this king for me.
Oh, yeah.
He's evil." And we were just like, okay. Well, we debated it a little bit.
We're kind of like, okay, we don't like evil kings. We could do that. But then, Yorburn and Thamelin, so while I think Boris is still, kind of, just, stumbling around, on the brink of death, right?
Kind of. He was, sitting there eating or drinking tea while we were kind of just talking.
Yeah, so, Yorburn and Thamelin, they, go outside of this house and, so really quickly, because we kind of skimmed over this, Dasso is he's a friend of Thamelin's, because Thamelin kind of used to be a part of this old crime ring where she would take assassination jobs and stuff.
You were a hitman.
So that's how. Yeah, I guess Thamelin was a hitman, and so that's how she knows Dasso, and that's how that's kind of what was like. Oh, I think I know somebody who might know about this, the Sea Hag's master. So, but when Dasso is like, "Yo, you want to assassinate a king?" Thamelin and Yorburn are like, "Oh,
yeah." We were not really sure if he was telling us the truth about why we should kill him. So Yorburn decides to try and make a truth serum. We're not really sure if it worked or not because level 3. So it seems like he was telling the truth, but we're not 100% sure.
The DM was being so vague about it that whole time.
So then after that, and we're just like, okay, after we ask him the questions, everyone starts being dizzy and taking a little bit of damage, and we're like, run.
And we're like, we messed up.
Dasso's nose starts bleeding and he collapses, and Damelin's holding him, trying to get him to wake up, but she becomes disoriented, so she kind of is useless now.
Yeah.
Yorburn tries to drink an antitoxin, but it just does nothing. Everyone makes an Arcana check after that, and then we're like, oh, there's something over there coming after us.
And it's this thing. Oh man, this is not a level 3 thing.
Not at all. After we did the Arcana check, this weird purple vapor starts steaming off of everyone, and then Dasso's house sort of had like a bridge in front of it, so Thamelin throws him across the bridge and stumbles into the river.
Yeah. And Thamelin, like, she just absolutely, like, chucks Dasso around, and they kinda, like, stumble away from the house, slash, like, the creature. But, like, there's, like, a radius around this creature of this, like, vapor, that was steaming off of everyone, right?
No, there was the house like so what happened after we got across, the house like exploded and then imploded into this white sphere, and then that was what kept on growing bigger and bigger. There's like this sphere of pure light.
That was the entrance thing? That was how the
Yeah,
Oh!
that's how that started. It was
Oh, I
weird.
didn't know that. Okay.
So then I use long strider on Thamelin so that she gets a higher walk speed because her walk speed is like 20 or something or 25. So I give her a
Look,
bunch of
man,
extra walk
I'm
speed.
3 feet tall, okay? Give me a break.
So then we bolt just go as far as we can. Most of it or everyone is basically blind and everyone's ears start bleeding.
Yeah, we're kinda just, like, stumbling around because this whole like I said, this is not a 3rd level party kind of enemy, but that our DM's like, "Oh, you guys have an OP druid elf and a bunch of, like, magical items, I might as well throw at you level 11 enemies, right?"
I like blast everyone about 100 meters away or so. I don't remember what I used. And then because I happened to get a glance at this creature before I was blind, the DM the DM let me use wild shape, so I turned into the same thing.
Oh my gosh, what ensued? Oh my god.
So I started like growing like the same way, and I almost like absorbed everyone before it stopped. So then there's like this what looks like a humanoid in the middle of like a mist, sort of, the other guy, and he's wearing like really dark robes, and his skin is perfectly smooth, which was a really weird detail that our DM emphasized, but he did.
Yeah, he was like, "This guy's skin is so clear. You will not catch this humanoid with a single pimple. Not
It
in
was
never, never."
so then he had like ginormous wings and really long hair, and like everything he's holding is like perfectly ebony black, sort of. He has like a really long staff with I think it was like a crescent on the end of it or something.
A croissant, if you will.
And then inside the crescent is like a small circle. He's able to speak Celestial, which I now can because, I turned into one. But I just happened to know he was an Abyssal because of that.
Basically, we were fighting a celestial slash abyssal
We were
3
fighting a literal
sessions into
god
the main camp. We were fighting a literal, like, Prince of Darkness from hell, like, 3 sessions into our campaign.
at level 3.
DM, what are you thinking, man?
So Yorburn looks like the exact same, except he has opposite colors, so light instead of dark. And I'm a celestial, not an abyssal. We're both like glowing so bright that Thamelin, Dasso, and Boris can't look at them without being blind. And because of my magic celestial powers, I'm like telepathically speaking to Thamelin, and she's like, "Try and talk to him." So I was trying to do that, and then he was saying like he wants to take over the world and murder everyone and all that stuff.
Yeah. This entire session, like, with this whole celestial and, like, talking to Dasso about the assassination, like, this whole session was such a fever dream.
Yeah, and so using my magic celestial powers, we find out that Dasso was possessed because of the truth serum we gave him. So that's why like this all happened, apparently.
And so apparently Dasso is actually telling the truth, so if we hadn't used that truth serum on him, we wouldn't have been fighting a celestial, which oops on our part.
Yeah. So then after that, Yorburn kind of just gets tired of the guy ranting. So then I just like shoot him with lightning and he turns into stone and he is just dead. So I one shot
Yeah.
another character or another monster. So he's now stone and he just disappears. And we didn't insert this little note before, but there was this church on a hill that was really important. And so we know that he vanishes and appears the statue appears inside that church, but he's not a threat for now. So
And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's one of the first Doctor Who things that the DM did, right?
yeah, so our campaign is like it incorporates Doctor Who a bit into it.
A
It's not like
bit.
there's a lot that we're leaving out. It's not like a total rip of the show in D&D version, but there's a few things from it that we use, but it's great.
Yeah, and we'll get to one of the best parts of that Doctor Who thing later.
Yeah. So then, as a Celestial, I'm like, well, I guess I'll repair Dasso's house. So I do that, and then basically just teleport everyone back. And then I'm no longer a Celestial, and I kind of just like I collapse, and I'm just basically
Kind
dead.
of there.
I'm still alive, but I'm dead.
Yeah, so like everybody kind of just like blips back into Dasso's like living room, and there's like, and so while Yorvin is like on the ground, like, you know,
Yeah.
Emlyn's like, what was that? Oh my god! Like, Dasso, just tell us what we need to do, man. And so,
Family has a little bit of a mental breakdown over what she just saw.
yeah, it was. I feel like Famlin is definitely like a not like a mental breakdown person, but definitely like a no,
Yeah.
a no kind of person.
Also, might I just add really quickly? I just looked through this entire session's notes, and Boris wasn't mentioned once, even though he was with us the entire time.
Oh my god. Yeah, Boris is like he's like definitely he's like more quiet. Like he definitely like does some helpful stuff, but he's definitely just like kind of there.
Yeah.
But anyways, so after whatever that went down, Famlin's like, okay, Dasso, we'll just give us the job, tell us what we need to do. And so
He's telling us that we have to like the only time we're going to be able to get to the king or something is at like at the dinner party he's doing, I guess. So
yeah,
he was saying that we have to steal invitations from 3 nobles to get to it because like all of them are invited in the city that the king is in. So, and then he also is really specific about there's a secret passageway behind a tapestry that's sort of near the king where we can kill him and then escape through, which happens to be guarded by an enchantress who just, happens to love blueberry pies. The two things that we have, cooking and blueberries.
And another person who loves blueberry pies. So that's fun.
So the city that we have to leave from is Formine in our D&D world. So we just instead of like regular traveling there, we kind of just fast travel and just appear there. So
yeah. So we're now in the great city of Formine, or not for we're in,
we're not in the great city of Formine. We're in regular Formine.
Yeah, the great city of Formine is where the king is. But regular Formine is where we're getting those invitations. So
which is like across an ocean from the great city of Formine. So
yeah, but we kind of like just blip into Formine, and we're kind of just walking around looking for 4 noblemen, or just noblemen in general. And so we kind of turn into this dark alleyway, and we kind of come across 4 half orcs who,
I think we were heading towards a tavern, I think, and we turned into the alley and then found them.
Yeah, and we could tell by the fact that they weren't they didn't smell really bad, and they like their hair was like nicely braided and stuff. We could tell that they were 4 noblemen, and we were like, oh, And so
what you doing there?
Yeah, so we kind of mention like slightly mention Dasso, and they're like we don't like Dasso. What, do you guys like Dasso? Are you stupid?
They're all angry at us because we mentioned him.
Mm-hmm. And so two half orcs, they kind of just like keep going, and Yorbrun, Boris, and Thamlin are kind of just in front of the other two half orcs.
Two of them leave for some reason, so
I there was a specific reason, but I don't quite remember because I didn't actually write that down. But
it was so long ago.
Yeah, this was in November of 2020, so
yeah.
Tiny
details.
Yeah, so Yorbrun, he charms one, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you can have my invitation."
Yeah. He's like, "You guys are awesome. Take it."
And then Thamlin,
I think she was trying to like charm him or something, but she rolled a nat 20 and ends up seducing the other one.
Yeah, I seduce a half orc. And he's like, I have my invitation. By the way, you look really nice.
So during the shower of compliments on Thamlin, I go and try and steal her poisoner's kit while she's talking to him a few times because I wanted to, murder the orcs because I don't like them.
Small spoiler for next session, but one of the half orcs actually like becomes one of our friends, and Yorbrun is so determined to kill him. Like
I was never on board with him being in our party. So
yeah.
So that was the end of that session. So then after we get that thing sorted out, the murder attempts, the half orc that Thamlin, yeah, the half orc that Thamlin seduces is like, "Hey, can I come with you?" So he joins our party.
He doesn't even like ask. He just kind of like follows us for the next session, and then we're kind of just like, "All right, yeah, you can join us. Why not?" Because he ends up being extremely powerful. So
yeah. We found out his name is Ethereal, so he is still with us in our current sessions.
Yeah.
For now. Anyways, so we find out from him that we have to get to the Great City of Forming to get to the Emperor. So we also find out that because they're like really high-ranking nobles, they can bring a +1 to the dinner, so we don't have to get as many invites as we thought, which was helpful.
Yeah, so basically our plan for the dinner was Thamlin was going to be Ethereal's +1 and Boris was going to be Yorbrun's +1. So it was surprisingly easy to get that sorted out.
Yeah. So then we were asking Ethereal about like a magic shop that we could go to for transportation, and he just goes, "I know someone who owns a ship."
And we're like, "Oh, all right, cool."
So, relative to D&D time, the dinner is 2 days after we meet them. So we need to get there, like, fast. So then, we decide, instead of using the boat that Ethereal mentions, we decide to just steal one.
To save gold, of course. It's not like we totally wanted to steal a boat.
So we decided to steal a sloop, and as we were leaving the pier, a galleon is like, "Oh, hey, there's a sloop there." And so they're yelling at us like, "Do you own that?" And we're like, "Totally.
Yeah,
this is 100% ours.
This is ours, and we own this. The SS sloop, we named it that."
Yeah, and so they're like, "Yeah, sure." And Ethereal tries to be like, "Hey, they're with me," and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So the captain, we're watching him, and the captain looks at Thamlin and is all angry. And Thamlin is like, "Oh, hey, that's the guy that I pissed off like however many years ago."
Yeah, so basically this captain of this galleon who's like, "What is this sloop doing?" He kind of like goes onto the main deck and he sees Thamlin and he's like, "Oh my god, that's not their sloop." Like, And so, and because of Thamlin being Thamlin, the galleon starts chasing the sloop, basically.
Yeah, it immediately starts going towards us.
Yeah, but we didn't know that it was chasing us at first, so we just kind of like start rowing as fast as we can away.
Yeah, we couldn't tell if it was actually following us or not, so we were just like, I guess let's go. So then
Yeah.
the galleon is about 40 feet away, so it was in range for me. So I tried to use my 260 gallons as well. So I, summoned that over it. It didn't work. It knocked everyone over, but they immediately got up and started scooping all the water out. So that was weird. And then a few minutes later, Thamlin realizes she stole a super valuable thing from this guy from like 5 years ago, I think it said.
Yeah, so basically the captain was somebody that Thamlin was, so I like to imagine, the DM was pretty vague about it, but I like to imagine that Thamlin like saw this like really nice knife on him, and instead of like being hired to steal it, she just kind of stole it for fun, and she still has that knife.
So after that realization, the galleon shoots a cannonball at us, and Boris tries to use like his shrink spell. I forget what it's called. He does it a little bit, so the cannon ends up doing about 40 damage instead of a lot more to the ship.
Yeah, it would have been like
So
100, right?
something like that. So then Ethereal just like slings a grappling hook into the galleon and pulls it towards us, or pulls us towards it. And so now we're like right next to it. Ethereal then jumps on the boat.
And I'm like, let's go!
Yeah, Thamlin pulls out the flaming flail and jumps on board with him.
Yeah.
So I'm still standing on the sloop. I grab my longbow and one shot the helmsman. I like shot him through the face or something. I've one shot like 5 people in a row at this point.
Yeah. And so the captain who's now like looking at Thamlin and is like, oh, I'm gonna kill her. He like grabs a sword and is like next, like near Thamlin, and Thamlin like
And the best part, Thamlin goes and pulls out the knife that she stole from him and she brandishes the knife.
And I say, bring it on! And the captain is so mad.
So Boris has like a spell where he can try and disguise himself as other people. So he tries to disguise himself as the captain. So he does that and then jumps under the like on the deck below through a hatch where all they are, and is trying to talk to the crew and passengers like, hey, don't worry about what's going on up there. We totally got it under control. Just stay down here and relax. Is what he's doing down there.
And so while Ethereal and Thamlin are like duking it out with this captain, Boris is just down there like, oh, hey guys. And so while that's all happening,
Ethereal grabs out I think it was like his great axe or something, and he chops the captain's arm off.
Yeah, which is like so metal. And then Thamlin's like just like kind of holding his dagger, like walking around up to him, and the captain like swings at her, and Ethereal snaps his wrist, and so he's just like kind of on the ground, like bleeding out. And Thamlin is like she probably says something really witty, and she stabs him like under his chin. And this idea actually comes from your brain. She stabs him under the chin so he suffocates on his own blood and dies.
Like, she said something, I don't know what she said to him, but something, and then she stabs him through the jaw so that he bleeds into his lungs, basically. Or bleeds down his throat into his lungs, and then he just dies.
And then I'm like, oh, nice.
So I then proceed to try. I wanted to shoot through the boat to see if I could hit one of the crewmates underneath. So I shoot through the bottom of the boat with my longbow and hit Boris instead, and I do 12 damage.
Nice,
so
dude.
Boris
nice.
is like down there dying now.
And he's like trying to like climb up to the deck to like go and get a healing potion, but he's a wizard, so he's not very strong. So he's like kind of like scratching at the top of this like hatch and is like, I can't get up, somebody help me. And so Ethereal like grabs his arm and like yanks him out.
There's 2 more damage to him.
2 dislocation damage.
It was because like right after I hit him, all of the crew realized it was not the captain, and then he was like, oh crap, gotta go.
but he couldn't go, so that whole segment transpired. And then Thamelin is like just like looking at this captain who's missing an arm, who's like bleeding out into his lungs, and is like, I'm gonna search him for stuff.
So Thamelin then finds like this random pair of black gloves from him, like evening gloves,
which are like probably way too small for him, and like she's like, why does this old like 60-year-old captain have like such nice evening gloves?
They leave like weird fingerprints on anything they touch. And then I think they were like stolen from the daughter of that one guy that I, turned into. So they were stolen from her. We get back on our boat, and then I set the galleon on fire and we all go, and then the ship blows up behind us. So I killed all of the crew, And then because of the like shockwave, everyone except me is knocked unconscious. So I'm keeping us going in the right direction the entire time.
And now we're on our way to the great city of Floramine. And that's where we're going to leave off on today's episode. We don't want to go through too much of this campaign because we're only a couple months into it.
Yeah. After this or so, we definitely started taking a lot more detailed notes. So we'll probably go over maybe 1 or 2 sessions next time instead of, I think we did like 5 this time. But our notes were a lot shorter and less detailed than they are now. So there'll definitely be a lot more info on the newer ones.
Yeah, once we kind of get to the great city of Floramine, things really start like going into like lore mode and stuff, and
it really starts escalating.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot more fun to kind of go over, and I'm very excited too. So quick recap, basically. Boris and Yorburn meet Thamelin. Thamelin kind of joins on with their party, and they go to find a friend in the swamp who is like, yo, you gotta go murder this king for me, please. And so they kind of go to figure out how to do that and meet a half-orc along the way who kind of just joins on. They have a really cool fight on a boat, and that's where we're going to leave off.
Yeah. We mentioned this a little bit at the beginning of the session. We will try and, as mentioned, record the newer episodes or the newer sessions of our D&D experiences, basically. We're not fully sure how we're going to release those. We're not sure if we're going to post them directly onto here where we post all of our podcasts, or if we're going to do that separately, or if we're going to do recaps but with even more detail or whatever. So we'll figure that out as we go along, but we're definitely going to try and get more detailed with this.
So for our next episode, where we'll be talking about D&D, we're going to be going over the assassination, the dinner, and all the chaos that happens, because that whole section, oh my god,
there's a lot that goes on with that, and it gets so entertaining.
It honestly does. I haven't laughed as hard as I did in those sessions in a really long time, so I'm excited to talk about that.
So yeah, it was really fun to go over this, so I hope that we have as much fun with this as we did this time. So
yeah, we're not too sure what the next episode is going to look like, but we are hoping, like I said at the beginning, we're hoping to record once every other week, or maybe if we get into kind of a good swing of things, every week. And you'll probably expect episodes to come out every Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. We can probably, going back over when we're going to record, we can probably guarantee at least every other week, but every now and then maybe once a week. It just really depends, but we'll do at least every other week.
Yeah, that you can count on. Yeah. So I guess if you've listened this far into the episode, thanks.
Yep, thank you so much for listening, and we hope you will join us in our next episode.
Yeah, maybe consider subscribing, that whole shebang. Give us attention, give us money.
Something like that.
Yeah, and this is the first episode of Quantum Box.
thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.